Okay. All right. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to Gold Rush Weekly Watch List. So hopefully you guys, I saw in the server you guys had a mixed week. So let me just see the ones that are in the chat from a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being a week, a whack week, and 5 being a strong week. Let me see how you guys did last week, real quick. I wasn't trading last week. I was just, anything that I had, I just took profits on and put my phone away for the whole week. So that felt really good. All right, so I see a 4, which is good. Yeah, I saw a lot of people break a lot of their own personal records last week, which was great to see. And I also saw some people breaking their rules, right? And also, but doing it very publicly, which is also very great to see. Because remember, in trading, the W stand for wins and the L stand for lessons, right? And you get rewarded either way. When you take a play, you get rewarded. You're either going to get rewarded with some profit and it goes in your direction, or you're going to get rewarded with a nice lesson to not repeat in the future, right? So, all right. So let me get started with the indices real quick, so we can take a look at just how the market performed and what it did and what we can expect for it to do. So this is the S&P futures on my screen. So futures just opened up 10 minutes ago. So right now we're forming an inside bar. Last week was just a choppy week, right? We had like a little bit of a high and then just a bleed and a bounce, right? So, whenever we're up this high, we always have to kind of like prepare. A really good strategy for when the market is going up and up and up and up is to buy some hedges, some puts, with some time on it, some September puts, some October puts, with some time on it, right? And you want to do a calculated move. So like, for example, I need an arrow. Your path. Yeah. So the market's just going up like this, right? And every so often you'll see it pull back and then run, pull back, run, pull back. And so whenever I see it running, I'm constantly looking for that pullback, right? Before it continues its next leg up. So, I like to celebrate the wins. I like when people are making money. I like when people are printing. You just always have to be cautious. You can't just be bullish all the time, right? As last week showed us. So the market pulled back this is the daily chart on my right-hand side. The market continuously pulls back to this 50 moving average and finds support on it. And it did it consistently, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times already. So we can tell that this 50 moving average is a strong level of support for us. Let me get rid of these so we can see a little bit more clearly, right? So this red line right here, this moving average right here, I'm actually let me make it a little bit darker. Can I make it darker? Stronger, yeah. So this red line right here, this is for us on SPY. We know that this is where we have support, and so now, ever since it pulled back and it tested it and it bounced, the levels that we have to break are obviously. I'm gonna just mark it down here real quick. Let me just zoom in. We got to take out this wick. We got to take out this high. These are all going to be problem areas, right? And if you're playing SPY, then it's, move the decimal point over a little bit. But now that we've tested this support and we found support and we put in this nice bounce, I think that we're going to either, what I see is happening based on a price action, maybe we'll get choppy over here and come back down and test some of these levels, right? Like this level here. Now that we're above it, we're going to come back down to test it as support, right? Just to make sure that there's a support that's higher than that 50 moving average. So I'm looking for it to bounce here to consolidate and trade this way before it goes up, personally. So that's ES. Let's look at NQ, which is the NASDAQ futures. If we look at the weekly, it's been going pretty sideways for the past 6 weeks. Including 5 weeks and today's price action right here on this candle. And And I love this sideways action. Obviously, this, when it bleeds down like this, it's looking for support pretty quickly before it bounces. I don't expect to get a bounce out of this action, but I do like when it goes sideways because it lets the moving averages catch up on these longer time frames, right? If we look at the daily, then we see that right now price came underneath the 9 and the 21, and then it bounced at the 50, same spot as SPY did, right? So it was a whole market thing. It wasn't just one or two things. It was the entire market that bounced at this point. And now the Qs are showing relative strength compared to SPY. They're a little bit closer to the highs. And right now we're just testing that downtrend line, that resistance, that falling resistance line. So what we're looking for is a break of this line, and I'll go ahead and draw it. A break of this line right here, a retest, and then up to test these levels over here and beyond, right? If you guys follow seasonality, then if you go to like equityclock.com and you type in any ticker or any ETF, it'll show you how they perform during the months. And so typically the summertime is generally strong for NASDAQ and for tech. We're hoping that it continues its strength into September. September is when I expect a strong pullback. September, if let's go back to September over here. I think it was, right here. This was these three red bars are September. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is September right here of last year. And I mean, look at what NASDAQ did. It died and then it just went sideways, right? And September and October are typically a terrible month for NASDAQ. So just keep that in mind. I mean, I'll mention it on next week's call as well, on every call up until September. But for now, I see strength. And why I see strength is because we have this consolidating pattern right here. And price action is getting smaller and smaller within this resistance and the support. And so, it might just go sideways and then September fall. I see potentially it testing these upper levels first and then falling personally. And that's just based on, staring at price action forever. Now, real quick, I want you guys to put whatever tickers that you have interest in looking at. I'm going to go through just a handful that I highlighted here. And then after I do this handful, I'm not sure if the guys are going to have to be able to jump on today, but after I do my handful, then I'm going to go through whatever your requests are. So the first one that I have, and this is in no particular order, but let's look at Coin. Now, the reason why I like Coinbase is because, and just a few things, and this is, if you guys were on the call a minute ago, then you noticed that what I was doing, you kind of just saw me glancing and just adding a little flag. The reason why I like Coinbase is because we're making higher lows, right? So here's a low, higher low, right? Many of us caught this massive move when it happened a couple of weeks ago. And since then, it's come back to, it's found really, really strong resistance at this line, right? Extremely strong resistance at this line. It went over it that one day, but they sold it. Everyone took all their profits, right? And it bounced and it fell off. And now it found support at a higher low than previous, right? So I like this. I like that it's on an uptrend. Right now, this is called the Ichimoku cloud, this little red thing right here, and it's above the cloud. We always want stocks above the cloud, right? But you don't got to pay attention too much to that. Right now, it's at above most of its moving averages. It's above the 9, it's above the 21, it's above the 50, and this is the 200 that's just started forming here. This one right here is a 200, and so it's above all of the moving averages, and all the moving averages are just next to each other, very, very tight, right? Very, very tight. All these, there's 4 moving averages right here, right? That I have on my chart. So what I'm expecting to see is, hopefully, if we can break out above these problem areas right here, right? These problem areas right here, then these moving averages are going to start pulling away from each other and carrying the price action up. Crypto, I think Bitcoin, let me just look at it real quick. I think Bitcoin, I saw something about it being at around 50. Yeah, so it was just at 50, found resistance at 50 over the weekend. So crypto's been on a nice little run. And so I think that coin is going to stand to benefit from it. Mara, Riot, all of those, all of those tickers. So I see a continuation and a move up. I'm not saying it's going to be a massive move, but I just see it slowly working its way up through these hard levels and hopefully holding this trend right here, right? Before it tries to eventually at one point, come back to these to try to fight these levels over here is what I see for coin. Just want to look at the volume study on this real quick. Yeah, so if we look at the volume profile, which is just volume on a price axis, right? We have a little bit of a tough level right here, a very small level right here, and then this is like the hardest level, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4 times it rejected at this level, right? And so once we get above this level right here, it's kind of open skies. There's not too much volume. There's some up here, which will be like the next level of resistance in the future, right? But I like what it's doing. I'm just gonna keep it on my watch list for the next couple of weeks. I think maybe it jumps, right? So as long as it holds this trend, we can see a nice move. Maybe it'll come back and test it one more time, but I'm just gonna continue to watch it. So the next ticker that I have on my watch list is Palantir. The only reason I have Palantir on my watch list is because of this this inside bar. This is a potential 3-bar play on a weekly, right? For those that don't know, a 3-bar play is basically one massive bar that's bigger than all of the previous bars that breaks out above all resistance and expands the range super wide, right? So a massive bar. And then that's the first bar. The second bar is a smaller bar, a resting bar. So if I were to throw volume on this, let's see. And you know what, the thing, I don't think with the weekly, the volume is going to be, I don't think the volume is going to be, oh, okay. It's a little bit less volume than the previous week, right? So it took a little bit of a rest, right? Buyers took a little bit of a rest. Really, it sold off and it didn't break below 50% of this massive bar. So it held up the upper part of this bar. So it's still very bullish, right? And the third bar on a 3-bar play would be pretty much the size of this bar starting right here, right? So starting right here, and then it'll give us what size is that bar. Let's see. I'm just gonna draw it top to bottom. Hold on 1 second. And then I'm gonna project it from the bottom of this candle up. And so my target for Palantir, if it's a true 3-bar, it might not be, but if it is, it'll give us 27. Right, it's just one bar, the resting bar, and then the third bar is the same size as the first bar. Gives us a 3-bar, and it'll give us 27, and it'll put us right at this previous resistance. Right at this previous resistance. Right. So I mean, if Palantir gets bullish and there's some news, maybe there's a catalyst. They had positive earnings, right? So that's a strong catalyst for the move 2 weeks ago, and people took their profits last week, and now if we continue to buy it, then it'll run right into this previous resistance. So that's why I like Palantir. The daily looks kind of ugly. It formed this box of trading, kind of a nasty, choppy price action. But I mean, you know how we do. We catch Palantir when it runs, and we whenever it runs, we catch it. So let's just keep our eyes on it. It might give us a full week of a run. It might give us maybe 2 days of a run. But let's just keep it on our watch list. The next one that I have, and I'll post all these the very specific entry levels tonight. The next one on my watch list is Mara. Mara it has the look of Snap. Yeah, exactly. And Snap is on my list too. I want to talk about Snap too, unless you want it. Yes. Oh, hold on 1 second. I got you. 1 second, guys. Okay, you got it, bro. You want to talk about Palantir?
Not really. I was just saying it has a look of Snap did when Snap gapped up. It kind of did a bouncy flag looking thing like that one. Mm-hmm. And then took a little bit, but it took off again. I just want to mention that.
All right. And then what S is talking about is this gap up and then kind of just held before it made this big move right here. But yeah, we're going to talk about Snap. I have Snap on my radar as well. So we'll talk about it in a minute. And I just want to blow through this. And guys, get your requests ready. I'm gonna go through. I have like just 4 more. I'm gonna blow through them real quick. I don't have much to say about them, and then S is gonna go, and then we'll take your request. So, what I like about Mara is it's kind of a sympathy to the whole crypto. You know, everything that's going on with crypto right now. But it's also, I mean, this is just a super aggressive uptrend, like super duper aggressive. I expect this to get invalidated immediately. What I like about what I like about this is the daily, right? So we had that gap, right? Nice strong move and then sell off. But if we use my Fibonacci just to measure this move, if we just put a fib on the top of this whole move down to the bottom of this where it started, where the kind of the impulse is called, where it started moving, where's my, from up here all the way to down here, right? So, and I'm gonna have to draw this out because it's a little bit ugly. It's very, very ugly price action, but where we at? Path. Okay. So it did this, right? Essentially it did this, and then it pulled back and it held above the 50% fib. It held above 50% of that impulsive move, right? And an impulsive move might look different for some, you know, S might be looking at this a little bit differently, but to me, this is just one massive move. And look at it on the weekly, it's a little bit easier. One massive move up over the course of 4 weeks, and then a pullback, and then a bounce. So if you look at it, it's kind of a 3-bar play. Let's change this to a monthly real quick. And I mean, it's ugly. It's ugly. Let's do a 4-week. Yeah. If you look at the 4-week, let me just get rid of this so we can see a little bit more clearly. Hide my path. Yeah. So if we look at the week, the 4 weekly, which is, you know, it's technically a monthly, but for the sake of, for all intents and purpose of this particular example, 1 bar, then a resting bar that is kind of chilling, low volume, right? Lower volume than the previous 4 weeks. These 4 weeks have low volume. And so now if volume picks up and people continue to buy it, then we can get an expected move of something like this, right? Take that. Where it go? It's right there. Take it, and then the measure move will put us back up to like around 46. Now that sounds a little bit. It sounds like Mara's choosing chaos and violence when it's gonna make a move like that. But the reality is that if crypto has enough strength and there's plenty of news behind it and all kinds of stuff that goes on with crypto, you know, crypto has no rules, so we can clear out through all of this, all these lines right here pretty quickly if we wanted to, right? Let me go back to my weekly. So I mean, and if you look at it here, it's not like you can't do it, right? You have 1, 2, 3 levels of resistance before we hit this area over here, before we hit before we hit this volume shelf right here, right? I think the reason why the first thing that caught my eye with this were the moving averages. Yeah. So if we look at the moving averages on the daily, it cut underneath the 9, it found support at the 21, and then it bounced and is right back up. It opened up at the 9 and bounced from it, right? So it's the price action with the moving averages give us a little bit of added confirmation to what we see on this impulsive move, and it holding its support. So I like it. It looks good, clean price action. If we have the catalyst of bullish Bitcoin, then Mara can see 40 possibly in the next couple of weeks. I'll put the levels in the server later. And if you guys aren't a member, if you're listening to this, if you're joining this call for the first time, or if you're watching the replay of this and you're not a member of our server that I keep referring to, you can visit us at goldrushgang.net. Right now, currently we have a free 7-day trial, and you have full access to the community. And then beyond that, it's $50 a month. And I mean, you can ask anybody in the community. They, you know, that $50 they can make that in the first 5 minutes of a trade with us, right? So, so yeah, that's the deal for anyone who's not a member. So the next one on my list is Snap. If we look at the weekly, I mean, it just had a retarded, part of my language, it just had a crazy week here, and and then it's just held up. It's just held up all within this little box. It came down as low as 69.93, but it still stayed above that 618 Fibonacci level from the high down to, I don't even know what low this is. Let me just redraw this. If I just measure that candle, it came down to 618 and it bounced, right? You see that lower shadow, it bounced right off of it. So if we look at it on the daily, it kind of did this flag, broke out a little bit, failed, fell down, and now it found support. So if we can hold this support here, if this is true support, then I want to see it go back up to test this level. Actually, let me do this level here, which it tested on Friday and Thursday. Friday and Wednesday. This level and this level, right? Those are my levels for Snap for this week. And it can do it if it wanted to. It can do it in one day, right? We know how Snap. I mean, it can just gap up above it. So I'm keeping it on my watch list. And again, the reason why I like it is because it found support even after it bled off. There's some mathematical rule as to why this is bullish, but I'm not gonna go through it right now. So the next one on my list is Etsy. It's just I like the daily price action. All the moving averages were just right next to each other, and then it just made this massive green candle above all this previous resistance of these 2 weeks, and now it has to fight these levels here. So for Etsy, I mean, my personal targets are right here, right? I don't know what it's gonna do this week. I needed to break and hold 200 before I become interested in it, right? And there's a whole 70-cent move between here and here that you can make money on, but I personally am gonna wait until it breaks and holds this level in here first before I start looking at it. I'm actually going to go ahead and set my alert at 250, let's call it. So TradingView will go ahead and alert me when a price crosses above that, and then I'll start looking at it. If we look at the weekly, it had this trend from before that it bounced out of. And if I just extend it, it's kind of holding that same trend. It kind of flushed underneath it, and then it opened and gapped up above it. So it's holding that same uptrend. It looks like there's also a downtrend, a falling resistance. Draw is kind of ugly, but it looks like it's doing one of these. So we might get some rejection here, and then out of this weekly price action, we might get a nice move up or down. So let's go ahead and keep that on our list for Etsy. The next one that I have is Square. The reason why I like Square is I like the weekly price action. This Fibonacci I drew in the context of this 1 week. And so we came up and we rejected at a higher, there's a higher fib here, whatever. It didn't get to reach it, but it fell down from it. And now it looks like it's finding support at this previous resistance area, which is what has my interest. Right, it has support where this previous resistance is. Also, I think, let me just make sure the moving averages on this. Yeah, and it bounced off the 9 MA on the weekly, excuse me. And it put in a hammer. So it put in a hammer at previous support, previous resistance on a 9 moving average on a weekly. That's why it has my attention. So I want to see, I mean, it can go sideways for a week, but we AL Square this whole time. I think people have been making money on Square. So I personally like it. And I'm looking at it for this week. I want to see it on a daily. I want to see it above. I'm going to go ahead and set my alert. And Square moves fast too. I'm going to set my alert at 267.28. And that's when it has my interest before I start looking at upside levels. And I'll go ahead and chart the levels for all of these tonight before midnight. The next one is Macy's. I missed it because I wasn't trading last week. I totally missed it, but you guys know I keep Macy's on my radar. I'm kind of pissed that I missed it. But yeah, congrats whoever ate off of this move right here. It did kind of it kind of went to plan. It took a little bit longer, but yeah, it did it. It rejected, it fell, found support, and bounced. And it's been waiting to bounce for a while now. When you see price action going like this, let's look at the weekly. When you see price action just kind of, first of all, you see this triangle forming, there's going to be something special coming out of it. Second of all, when you see the price action just on a constant uptrend on this weekly, you know it's something special, right? So I don't have a play for this yet. Macy's 19 to 22. That's a nice move. That's a nice clean move, right? I actually want to look at this on a smaller time frame. Yeah, look at this. Jeez. I think I think Coach had a play for Macy's. I don't know if he took it or if that was last week when I was trading or 2 weeks ago when I was trading. But if anybody caught it, even a long play from out here, or if you caught it on this day, I mean, this is the day you could have just caught this move right here. It's like a 300% move right here, And if you had FOMO and you bought it here, and you added down here, then you made it. God, I'm so mad I didn't play Macy's, man. But congrats to anybody who took it. It looks like it might be. Let's look at the volume study. It looks like it might be a resting bar, possibly. Let's look at the volume. Volume will tell us. Yeah. Look at so this volume is half, less than half of this massive move. This can technically be a 3-bar. It's really ugly. I mean, the 3 bars they're way clean structure. This is a very ugly type of a 3-bar, but it could possibly be, if we see volume come in strong, stronger than like whatever this previous day was, and it comes in strong, then we can get a nice move out of Macy's. Measured move will give us, let me see. Measured move will give us, 25. We'll get 25 out of Macy's. And hopefully, I mean, if it's a 3-bar, then let's just keep our eyes out for it. Entry would trigger above the previous close. Aggressive entry at the previous close. Safer entries at the break of the high of the previous day. And yeah, let's see what it does. I'm gonna keep it on the watch list. Next one is DraftKings. Why I like DraftKings? Because of the, I'm gonna put my moving average back. Is it here? Yeah, moving average is converging on the daily. It's just above the 9 on the daily, and then the moving averages are converging on the weekly as well. We put in this double bottom, and now we look like we're kind of, it looks like a really ugly kind of cup and handle also. Like it might be a handle here. It also looks kind of like a really ugly bull flag. Whatever it is, I like where it's sitting. Let's look at this in terms of volume real quick, and then I'm gonna do my last ticker. I'm gonna hand it off to S. Yeah, we had low volume last week. So rising volume on this move, rising volume, and then a little bit of a sell-off on low volume, right on top of a volume shelf. So if this volume shelf acts as support, then we can try to test these upper levels here. So I'll go ahead and post my my levels on it tonight. Last one is DOCU. I mean, the reason why I like DOCU is because of this massive move on a weekly. Where's my path? Yeah, DOCU's just, I mean, it's just a clean move, right? So I'm looking for that. I'm looking for something like that. Yeah, and then if we look at the daily, I mean, it's just same thing. It's just a clean move, a little bit of chop. It found some support here. It came down, found a higher support. So we're forming higher lows, right? Here's your high. Here's one low. Here's the next low, right? So we're forming higher lows, holding an uptrend. This is obviously a very strong resistance up here, as you can see with all that selling pressure up here on these candles. So, I don't know what it's going to do. I just like it. I want to make sure it's going to continue to hold this trend. If it does, then we're catching it right at the support. So let's just keep it on our watch list. S, it's all yours, bro. Let me stop.
Anybody watching that DOCU right there, pull it up in your charts and try to reverse engineer kind of what I'm about to show you on other stocks. It has a great setup for it to either break to the upside and retest that high where his gray bar is, or break down to the downside and test that bottom fib line. It's a great setup for it right now. It kind of wants to make up its mind.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't even notice the inside bar on the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of them kind of back to back there.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop share S's strategy that he's been testing for what, like 2 months now?
Yeah, we're going on there. That's playing pretty well, and this sets up perfect for that inside bar.
Yeah, his song is one of my favorites, so I'm gonna go ahead and let him share his screen.
All right, let me see. All right, so the first one I'm gonna go with is Activision, ATVI. Again, I've been basically running these inside bars for almost 3 months now, and if you just follow the plan, they pay you as long as you can wait for the confirmation to be patient with them. So ATVI, if you look at the weekly, we have a nice inside bar here. 2 weeks ago, it looks like we found some good support. It pushed, you can see this bar got pushed way up, And yeah, and then on the daily, we also had an inside bar. So usually I would keep my inside bar and just play top to bottom there. But because we had so much tight consolidation in this range, I'm going to make my first target almost the high of last week. It's really only $2 between them. So we're going to look for the break of 84.39 for us to start pushing back up into this range. Now, again, this support could give up and we lose it, and we can still play it to the downside. I think I have more of a bullish bias on this one because right here, if we can close above the 9 and 20, maybe tomorrow, then we have a good chance to push through our call line and at least retest this mid-range and maybe into this, I think that's the 100. Yeah. So the 50, sorry. So I think as long as we can get a close over the 20 and the 9 tomorrow, we're looking good for more continuation, and we'll just be patient to wait for over 84.39. So this is actually one of my favorite setups of the week, just because the weekly lines up with the daily pretty nice. And I think after that bad news that it finally found support and it's ready to start moving its way back up. And here we have UAL, United Airlines. All of the airline tickers kind of look the same. They both have a little bit of double bottom going on here. We came down, tapped, rebounded up, we're tapping again. So we're really going to watch to see if this double bottom support holds or not. Again, on the weekly, doesn't look great, but you can almost see maybe it was a little bear flag. Maybe that was a fake out and we could continue down. So we're going to watch this downside real close here, because if it falls through, then we can get some major gains on the bottom out. Ultimate price target 41.62, but I mean, if it falls through those first two, we could see $40, which would be a huge win on that. And vice versa. I mean, we have what, $3 to the upside here, and with the ultimate one being around 48.25. So this one is another one where ATVI kind of feels a little bullish to me. UAL feels maybe a little bearish. Maybe we fall through the double bottom, but again, double bottom's a bullish move, so maybe we get a bounce and it rips. So I just want to watch them both. We got inside bars there. And then I also brought up MU and TSM. I know I posted these last week. I think I was a week early on both of them. And I'll show you why. Again, they look kind of similar, you know, same space. But look at MU, this tight coiling here. The price action just keeps getting tighter and tighter through last week until we put up a almost perfect doji on Friday. This means some real indecision going on, so we're ready to go one way or the other. This orange line is the weekly down here. I think it was, yeah, basically it's supposed to be a little bit lower there for the weekly high as your first price target. This could go either way, and that's what I love about it. You know, that's my style. We got an inside bar on the weekly, just about an inside bar on the daily. Again, they're lining up. So now we just need to be patient and wait for those breaks. And I know I'm going fast through these. I feel like I've kind of beat this style to death at this point. So if you have questions about it, feel free to ask in the chat, and I will go over in depth on what I see and how I play them overall.
Yo,
again, go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is such a great setup. There's going to be some kind of mean play out of this, because it's going to be either a continuation momentum play or an upside gap fill play, one or the other.
Yep. So that's why I want to bring it back up. I don't like posting tickers back-to-back weeks just because I like to switch it up. But these two setups, I really think should be on everybody's watch. Just because I think I was a week early, and that happens when you're in trading. Everybody will know that. Sometimes you just miss it by a week. And I think this one's ready to go this week. Same with TSM. And you'll see that they look very similar for the most part. Well, no, they don't. AMD, I think, was the other one that looks similar to MU because they run similar. But TSM, same thing. If you look, Friday, Thursday and Friday, we came down to this nice demand zone where since December, we've been bouncing off of. March, bounce. That's May, bounce. So now let's see if we can bounce out of that demand zone. I basically made the top of my demand zone my break line. because once we get out of that, we're ready to rock and roll again. And then on the reverse side, I made the bottom of my down demand zone, my break line, because that's where we're going to start to fall through. You can see our price targets. We get a $2 move almost right off the bat, and ultimate move is going to be around $7 if we fall through this demand zone, which is quite possible. You could think of it another way. These are all taps, right? Like JCAT taps, 1, 2, we're into our third tap. So do we fall through to the bottom side? Possible. So these are my 2 top setups, even though I had already posted them last week. I still think everybody should watch them just based on the charts now. And then those are the 4 that I'm going to share in here for free. Those that are in our group, I've already posted my other 2 or 3 that I'm watching for this week. And you can go look at them again. If you guys have any questions about them, I'm happy to go over whatever you guys want. I think Tuesday we're going to have a homework session where we're going to go over stuff, and I'll go over new ones. I do this every single night. I pick out inside bar plays and try to find the best ones and share them with you guys. And then I'm hoping Thursday night to prepare for Friday 0 day. I'm hoping to do just a session on what my typical night looks like, going through my stocks and doing my TA, just so everybody can see kind of what it actually takes. You know, we have to, what you guys don't see is the hours we put in looking at charts. Like I spent 3 hours today going through as many charts as I could. And I do that almost every night. I spend at least an hour or 2 going through charts. So if you guys really want to start working on technical analysis and getting yourself to see things and better yourself, just start with 5 minutes. Look at charts and see if you can pick some of this stuff out. Ask us questions. I'm going to try to get us some support and resistance videos that we can all learn from. And we're really going to push the education going forward. So again, any questions on my setups, hit me up. I know we have Microsoft as a question for us to check out. So Microsoft, what I have, I love Microsoft. It's one of my favorite tickers to actually trade. But now we're in all-time high, so we got to figure out how to kind of come up with price targets, right? And you can see that my Fibonacci extensions played out fairly well as a whole. If we break these down into, let's see, let me go to a different time frame on here and see what it looked like. Those support and resistances played out pretty well for those retracements. We'll go back to the daily here. So I ran another set for the next highs, I think. No, I did that on PFE. So I didn't run the next sets, but we can do it again real fast. Let me throw in some retracements. All right. So this isn't retracements. These are extensions. So they work a little different. And you can see 307.74 is probably our next target here, followed by 317. Now, that's a gap up. We probably see some consolidation here in the 305 range before the next leg up. And maybe even, we might even see a retracement. So let's throw that up too. Can I hide that one? Hide this one, and then let's see what the extensions do for us as well, just so we can see what we should look for. Retracement, what we should look for based on pullbacks and whatnot. Sorry, I'm new at this fib stuff. So again, look at those fibs, how they line up. The 61.8 lined up perfectly with that support resistance line of the extensions. So we might see a pullback to like the 296 area, 296.66. See a pullback to there. Anything above that pullback and kind of hold above is going to be a stronger move for our upside, where 317 might be more of our price target. If we hold this 78.6 line, if we stay above 300, we're going to see 317, no problems. So it's really, we're going to watch where the consolidation is, how far back we pull back, and play it from there. But I still think it's still bullish. Look at all that volume coming in until we see a decrease in volume or more sell volume come in, because we should see a little decrease if it starts consolidating. We don't want those numbers to be, we don't want the volume to be as high if this next red bar is up here. So we see a little volume decrease, and then when volume starts coming in again, we can get ready for the next run up. Gives us pretty sweet lines to play though, even if it does consolidate, because our next play will be basically over 305 to run to 312 and 315. And then Pfizer, I didn't put this on the list, but I have mixed feelings about Pfizer. It looks good, but we could also, they might have news tomorrow, so it could give us more downside. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't play it. Too much volatility possibly. But as you can see, we kind of have a little flag going here on the daily, which is nice. And again, these are extensions giving us price targets to the upside, and I just throw white lines on them so we can see them a little clearer. From this point, we really need to get back over 49.50. And once we do that, we can start moving up. This is an inside bar. So again, it sets up for a great play in general off my style. But I didn't really want to mess with the volatility, and kind of, I know we've all been in Pfizer already. So really, like I said, we need to get over 49.50. Well, 49.75 is probably your safe entry over. And if it gets good news and it gets over 49.75, jump in that thing and ride it up to these next targets. We got 50.90 and then 51.97, so easily $1 out of each one, right? On the downside, bad news, they don't get the approval. Again, 48.66 is your entry, with almost $1 at a time going down after that. Overall, what I didn't like about this chart and why I didn't put it on was the weekly. That's some strong fight there to push the price all the way down. I don't necessarily like that candle. It's borderline gravestone doji, which tends to signal a reversal. So that was my only hold off on actually putting this as a play along with the volatility. I think if you're already in this play, if the news doesn't come out before market, you might get a pop, and maybe just to maybe scale out some profits and leave a couple runners just in case it gets approved, just to get some profits out of this. I would hate for something to turn around on you guys and lose the money that was right there in front of you. Tommy wants some AMD in NVDA, and I did. Sorry, the zoo's going. Hey, stop. All the dogs are barking outside, so my dogs are barking. Hold on, give me a second. All right, sorry about that. All right, let's get AMD on here and see what we can come up with. I know I charted it for inside bar because I actually have alerts on it too, just based off the look of it. That's the weekly, daily. All right. So AMD kind of looks flaggish, might have caught a good support. These are good reversal candles here. I like this as a whole. And then with this pop up. So again, what I'd like to see on a daily for us to get over the 20 and the 9 for safety. Don't know why my AMD lines aren't showing on here, but they're showing over here. So maybe they're hid. I don't know. But I do have the calls and puts set in for the alerts. I'd be a little leery of this possibly going downside still on us. Here's your extensions for them pretty much, and it kind of played the lines fairly well. So like we might test 100 again before going back up. But overall, that's not a horrible chart overall. This was bound to happen. We just want to see some more upward momentum and get over the 20. If we get to the 20 and 9 and it gets beat down again, we'd probably be looking for puts. And then NVIDIA. NVIDIA looks real strong in my mind. Again, we want to get back over this high of basically 209. And once we can pull that off, it's off to the next leg. Let's throw some extensions on, see what we have overall. So over 209, then we see 215, 222. Again, we might want to watch for this to get beat down off 209, recoup again, and then essentially go for kind of a quadruple tap if you count this one back here. Ideally, what we want to see is obviously making higher lows. We don't want it to get completely slammed and beat this low down here, because you can see the trend. You see that we've basically been making higher lows, not quite higher highs yet, but higher lows. So we don't want it to give up that trend line, at least if it does get beat down. Ideally, you want to see it retraced in this area, like right around 200, and then start heading back up and finally get the momentum to poke through. That was a lot of volume that came in on Thursday and Friday. So if that volume continues, I fully expect it to be 209 and give us another little run going. But yeah, that's what I have on those two. You want to go back to PFE real fast?
Yeah, throw your lines on PFE and bless them in the community with it.
Okay.
And if you guys have any more requests after PFE, I think we have enough time for one more. So yeah.
So basically what I said, STV, was that we kind of have a little flag going on here. I didn't necessarily like the weekly candle. There's some hard push down there and a little bit of a gravestone, but it did give us an inside bar on Friday. My holdback is this gravestone on the weekly and also the volatility of the possible announcement tomorrow. If you're already in PFE, you might want to scale out some profits in the morning if we get a spike, and then wait for the announcement for it to make up its mind which way it wants to go. This could have strictly just been in preparation for the announcement, and it continues higher once it's approved. But if it's not improved, we definitely have some room to make up to the downside. Any other requests? We can do one, maybe two more with as fast as I go through them. I'll post, I'll throw these PFE, Microsoft, and WBA. WBA's actually gave me an inside bar on something as well. Basically, no surprise. Most of what T called last week was still looks great. He called it TSM, and I'm saying TSM looks pretty bullish at this point as well. WBA threw up an inside bar on the weekly. So again, that looks like it caught its bottom off the 50, made it over the 100. We got over the 9, but came back down. So now what we want to see on the 9 on the weekly cross. On the daily, we got over the 20, and we got stopped by a 9. So we get over the 9 tomorrow. We got some room to go as well on those. So what this would essentially look like is there and there for the inside bar play. So we got some room for your initial break if you want to get back in. Got a gap here though on a daily, which is nice. If you really wanted to, you could play that gap pretty clean as well. That's a dollar move on the gap and up to the next resistance. But after that, we want to get over 50. And then once we get over 50, that's where we can start picking up some steam into the $51, $52 range. Probably tap into this 100-day moving average on the daily. And then I think Hove just said Apple. And I haven't looked at Apple in probably like 2 weeks, so I'm not completely sure on what I'm getting into here. So on the weekly, we threw up a pretty much, again, another perfect doji going on. So that just signals a lot of indecision. Needs to make up its mind. On the daily, though, we're kind of we're continuing our higher lows, right? And we even made a higher high here, almost a higher high there. So I'd like to see it just ride the trend line. So move up, hit this range, come back down, ride up, and let's have a nice casual run up. At this point, what I would play is probably a break of around 149, if not waiting for 150 again. The safe play is waiting for 150 back here. And as you can see, we kind of have like a rising wedge there, which maybe we just consolidate into this range and to the point where it needs to make up its mind. And for those that aren't aware, what we want is a break of either the resistance line or the trend line to decide our play. I have an alert for the 150 line break still, I think, all the way down here. As you guys can see, these are all the alerts I have. NVIDIA played perfect breaking out of the cup and handle on the daily. So that's another reason why I think NVIDIA has a little more room to run. And yeah, it's still on the 150, it looks like. 147. So maybe I'll move that up to 150. But yeah, that's what I see. Let's see, Apple. All right, we'll give Flowers, IBM, and then Hove, I'll hook you up with Facebook in the chat. All right. So let's do IBM. I didn't look at this week. I know it was on my list last week. So IBM, look at that rangy candles. Gap down.
You got IBM on the weekly.
Oh, geez. I probably have. Thank you. There we go. All right. So, I mean, I don't necessarily like anything on this chart. If you're already in it or want to play it, we wanted to get over 139.38 for continued upside on calls. And basically here for the downside, 137. I don't like when we have rangy candles like this, like big, long, rangy candles. I know they look better when I squeeze them together, but still, they don't tell me a whole lot. So it's hard to make decisions. It does look like it caught support on Friday, bounce off it twice. So that's a good sign and might give us continuation to the upside. But overall, this isn't something I'd play right off the bat, but if you wanted to, it's there. A break of 139.40 basically, and with upside basically there. So I mean, you have $3 worth of moves, $2 worth of moves. Ultimate price target being 143.75. So
this is some tough looking price action. It's not very clean.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like it. And also, if we look at it like this, I see kind of bear flag going on, right? I see a flag going like that. So we broke out, caught. Now do we consolidate and give us another small bear flag and break down even more? Because really our ultimate support is going to be down in this range of 129, 130. So, and you see we flagged up, maybe we keep on flagging down. So I don't necessarily like it for the upside. We might get almost like a dead cat bounce, but overall, I probably want to play it based on the price action. I don't really like what I see. Now, if we would have played this to the downside here, that would have been a beautiful break. But hindsight 2020. STV must be talking about Huey's. I was thinking the same thing. I missed his voice.
You guys.
I think that's about all we got. Like I said, we're gonna try to do a homework Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, and then Thursday night I'm gonna try to do a basically what I do every single night for setting up for the next day. My technical analysis, what I do, the steps I take. I think everybody needs to start realizing the time that actually goes into this so they can realize what kind of type of trader that they are. We're going to really be pushing education, figuring out what type of trader you are so we can all move forward with the types of things we need to teach or help information we have to get to you guys. We really want all of you to succeed. We hate seeing anybody suffering in silence or having any losses whatsoever. So we're really making it a priority to make sure we can get everybody on the right page. Thank everybody who came out. Sorry I was a little late. Sorry for my noisy ass dogs, but we appreciate everyone here. If you're not in the server already, goldrushgang.net or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, I guess, at Gold Rush Academy.
Yes, sir. Well said. Thank you, guys.
And I'll get these charts, and the charts that I went over, I'll get them into the chat in the watch list. I won't break out the price levels like I normally do, but I'll post them. Appreciate it, guys.
Night, guys.